This clip is from the Fox TV show Outnumbered, and for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, Outnumbered is a television program, that's a news talk show that is hosted by 4 different women, but the gimmick is, every day, they bring on a man to discuss politics with them, hence he's outnumbered. Because the target demo for Fox News is horny old men whose ultimate fantasy is to be surrounded by young, attractive women who will echo their bigoted thoughts. But it took a weird left turn in this show because they had to confront the uncomfortable reality that blue states have a lower crime rate than red states. So check this out.
I really want to applaud this TikTok creator because he absolutely exposed Fox News for exposing themselves. Let's watch.
And I also think we have to look at crime in a really important, inquisitive, and civil way. If you look at counties and cities and states, crime is higher in red and Republican states more than it is in liberal cities. And so I think we have to stop saying, oh, it's just this policy by this one governor, mayor, president, and really take a step back and say there's some defendants that want space, there's some that don't, and what policies are and aren't working.
Now, I don't know who this particular panelist is, but we already know they're not going to have her back on to speak because she is speaking real facts. Now, I don't want this conversation to digress to just going in on red states because we all know that it's policy from both sides of the political aisle that encourages poverty, which leads to more crime. Both Democrats and Republicans vote against adding the child tax credit extension in the Senate. However, it's true that red states have more crime, in particular violent crime. In a study done by Third Way, and contrary to what right-wing media claims, red cities and states have the highest murder rates in the country. Of the top 10 states with the highest murder rates, 8 out of 10 are Republican controlled. Further into the study, we see that of the 25 states who voted for Trump in 2020, the murder rates were 40% higher than the states that voted for Biden, and many of those states far exceed the national average murder rate. But unfortunately, Republicans have a hard time believing that.
Sorry, blue cities crime is going up rampantly, so you can talk about red states.
Look how they all just fall apart and go crazy when faced with the truth. They can't handle it, or maybe they know the boss behind the camera won't be happy if they aren't tap dancing to the beat of the fake news drum. They don't want to lose their cushy jobs, even if it means they have to peddle lies and disinformation. Let's watch more.
There's some defendants that want space, there's some that don't, and what policies are and aren't working.
And also,
I'm
sorry. Blue cities crime is going up rampantly, so you can talk about red states, but let's talk about where the crime is happening.
Jacksonville is the murder capital of Florida. Kern is the murder capital of California.
That was great. Absolute pandemonium. Because, I mean, she broke one of the prime rules of Fox. You don't let the cat out of the bag by telling the truth about these nonsense right-wing narratives that we've heard for our entire lives. And one of the major ones is their assertion that blue states are absolute hellholes. How many times during the COVID lockdowns did you hear that we're sick of bailing out poorly run blue states, when it's the exact opposite? Red states, the majority of the top 10 states that take money from the government, might be all 10, more than they give, are all red states. Red states are worse than blue states when it comes to crime, when it comes to murder, when it comes to poverty, when it comes to drug overdoses, when it comes to teen births, to teen mothers.
This gentleman is absolutely correct. Red states lead the way when it comes to violent crimes, poverty, teen pregnancy, crumbling infrastructure, threats to childhood. The list unfortunately goes on. While this may seem like an aha moment to us Republicans, we really need to think about the citizens of red states who have to deal with these conditions, and also why those in power allow those conditions to continue to worsen. We have to examine power in order to find those answers. When you're well educated and have money, that gives you access to resources, power, and autonomy to advocate for your rights. When those things are taken away, you have a much more difficult time seeing through the problems you or your community faces to deal with them properly. You and I know that the Republican Party is full of BS. We know that they're lying, and each of us take the time to shuffle through it in search of the truth. But for the people who haven't gotten the opportunities we all have, it's easier to follow the finger right-wingers point to blame any and everything but themselves. And when you tie policy to belief systems like Christian nationalism, it's even harder to crawl out of the pile of crap Republicans pour out. Like I mentioned in one of my other videos about why the far right thinks the way they do, we can't fact our way into the hearts of Republican voters. What we can do is find common ground and allow them to come to the conclusion that the Republican leaders don't have their best interests in mind. In the meantime, we can continue to call out the hypocrisy of Republican leadership and support the progressives in red states actually trying to change the systems there. This is Rebel HQ. Like this video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.